Hi guys, it's time for another movie review, and today I'm reviewing the movie The Desolation of Smaug. This is the second in the Hobbit trilogy, the first one being An Unexpected Journey, which I saw last year, and I reviewed it and gave it 5 stars out of 5. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan. I've owned all the previous movies on Blu-ray and DVD. I've been a fan of the books since I was a kid, and I even enjoyed the cartoon, and so yeah, I've been really looking forward to these films, especially as I not only watch the films, but I collect the stuff as well. I have statues and figures and posters and swords and rings and you name it. I've got a lot of stuff based on Lord of the Rings. Yeah, I saw An Unexpected Journey, as I said, thoroughly enjoyed it, and I was really looking forward to this one. I did have certain worries. I was wondering how on earth Peter Jackson was going to pad this quite slim book into 3 large movies. I've got a pretty good idea now of seeing the second one and what he's doing. The first one I found very faithful to the book. I really enjoyed it, but I did find it might have not been so accessible to non-Tolkien fans. There's a lot of stuff in there, exposition, people talking about certain things that relate to the appendices of the book, and I've found that some of the stuff they were talking about while I was enjoying it, maybe, as I said, people who might not consider themselves major fans of Tolkien might not have enjoyed. And now we've got most of that out of the way in the first book, we can get on with the action, and the storyline moves along at a faster pace. And I think this film is more accessible to non-Tolkien fans. They're going to enjoy a lot of the action, and it's a very basic storyline to stick with, really. They've just got to go from Hobbiton to the Misty Mountains and reclaim the throne of the dwarf. That's the simple story of The Hobbit. They do go into the appendices again in this book, but it's really about Gandalf being on who is investigating this character called the Necromancer, this dark wizard. He's got to find out who he is and what he plans to do. Most of the others of the parts of the story are the Hobbit, and played by Martin Freeman, who's excellent, along with Thorin Oakenshield, who's played by Richard Armitage, who's excellent as well. Bilbo and the dwarves basically trying to get to the Misty Mountains and coming across certain characters and certain things that prevent them from doing that. Now the film is long. I think it's a little bit too long. I think they would have benefited from cutting certain things from this, cutting certain characters out, and maybe saving them for the extended version. It would have probably made it a much better film theatrically, but really the film does move at a steady pace, and I didn't find myself bored at all while watching it. The action there's quite a lot of it, and while it's fun to look at and why it's enjoyable to see on the screen, it can be a little relentless, and you might glaze over it a little bit and start thinking, alright, okay, another action scene, and you're not really on the edge of your seat on some of the stuff, but it's still enjoyable to watch. The characters that have been introduced, we've got a lot of the elves in this now from Mirkwood, and Legolas does feature quite heavily in this film, along with Evangeline Lilly. I think I'm saying her name right. She plays a character called Toriel. They're interesting. They're cool to see, and it's great to see them, you know, in action and doing what elves do. I do wish though that the problem I have with Legolas in this film is that he works better as a double act with Gimli, and when Gimli's gone, he doesn't work so well. He kind of looks a bit dour and miserable and grumpy in this, so that was a little bit disappointing. Also the dwarfs, while the main dwarfs like Balin and Thorin Oakenshield are given a fair amount to do, the other dwarfs are still in the background, and are you know, with 2 hours and 48 minutes of this middle section, I think that Peter Jackson and his writing team still didn't give enough for them to do and flesh their, you know, characters out as much as I would have liked them to have. You know, that was one of the biggest disappointments for me in this film. Is like, you've got a book that's based on The Hobbit, Martin Freeman. and these dwarves, and you've neglected to let us know more about them, apart from them running and getting into action scenes. I think there should have been a little bit more character development in the lesser known dwarves in the book. Now for me, the film itself gets better and better while you're watching it, and it really does build up into a fantastic climax when you've seen it on the trailers, you've seen the dragon. There was moments in An Unexpected Journey when you're watching that and you think, wow, I'm watching a scene here that is as good as anything that I saw in Lord of the Rings. And that Gollum scene in An Unexpected Journey is fantastic and belongs in some of the best scenes in the whole saga. I felt the same way when Bilbo is confronted by Smaug the dragon. That scene is excellent. The exchange between Martin Freeman and Benedict Cumberbatch's character, the dragon, is just excellent, and you're on your edge of your seat, and you're thoroughly enthralled in that whole exchange that they have at the end of the film. So overall, I would say the film's exciting, it's good fun. There's certain characters that could have been done with being cut out of the film and saved for the extended version. I was a bit disappointed with the lack of characterization in some of the dwarves, but overall, as I said, it's a great fun film. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I definitely recommend it for anyone to see, especially if you're fans of Lord of the Rings, and I'm going to give it 4.5 stars out of 5. I'll catch you later.